The emerging horrors of the Blitz. I always wondered what had happened to my brother John during World War II. He had enlisted as a sergeant in the British Army and fought bravely, but he never came home. We received the news of his disappearance with heavy hearts, knowing that the odds of survival were slim. We held on to hope for months, but it soon became clear that he was gone. He was marked as killed in battle on November 3rd, 1944. Years went by and life went on, but I never forgot my brother. He had always been a hero to me, and I wanted to know more about what he had gone through during the war. Then, something strange happened. I started receiving letters from him. At first, I was confused. How could my brother be writing to me when he had been declared dead so long ago? But then I recognized his handwriting on the envelopes, and I knew that these letters were from him. They were written in a style that I remembered well, full of vivid descriptions and wry humor. The letters described my brother's experiences during the war in great detail. He wrote about the chaos and confusion of London during the Blitz, the fear and uncertainty of battle, and the camaraderie that he had formed with his fellow soldiers. But he also wrote about something else, something that I had never heard of before. Date: October 12th, 1944. Dear brother, it has been some time since we last spoke, and a lot has happened since then. I'm currently stationed in London, fighting in the Second World War, but that's not what I wanted to write to you about. Something strange has been happening here in London during the bombing raids. I know you're always interested in my stories, so I wanted to share this one with you. It started with a noise. We were taking cover in an emergency shelter, and I heard a strange shuffling sound outside. At first, I thought it was just the sound of the bombs falling, but then I heard it again. It was a kind of scraping, like someone was dragging something heavy across the rubble outside. I couldn't ignore it, so I grabbed my flashlight and went to investigate. What I found outside was not a survivor, but something much more disturbing. It was a creature unlike anything I had ever seen before. It had tentacles instead of arms and legs, and its skin was a sickly green color. Its large, bulbous eyes seemed to glow in the dark. At first, I thought it might be some kind of Nazi experiment, but as I watched it, I realized that it was something much older, much more ancient. The creature was moving slowly, almost as if it was searching for something, and then I saw it, a woman, walking alone in the streets, trying to find her way to an emergency shelter. The creature pounced on her, and I heard her scream. I tried to run back to the shelter to get help, but by the time I got there, it was too late. The creature had disappeared with the woman, leaving no trace behind. At first, I thought it was just a one-time thing, but over the next few days, more and more people went missing. People who were out at night, trying to find their way to safety. We tried to warn everyone to stay inside, but some people just wouldn't listen. They thought they could take their chances and make it to safety on their own. And that's when the creatures started to come out in greater numbers. It wasn't long before we realized that these creatures were not alone. They were accompanied by others, creatures that looked like giant spiders with teeth, and others that looked like snakes with arms. They all seemed to be working together, hunting for prey in the dark. We tried to fight back, but it was like fighting a force of nature. The creatures were too fast, too powerful. We lost many good men in the process, and it seemed like there was no end to the horror that we were facing. I shall write more about this in my next letter. For now, stay safe, brother. Your brother, Sergeant John Smith. Date: November 3rd, 1944. Dear Michael, it has been a while since my last letter, and I'm still reeling from what I've seen here in London. The creatures have only gotten worse, and it seems like they're getting bolder with each passing day. Yesterday, we were on patrol when we stumbled upon a strange symbol on the side of a building. It was an ancient symbol, one that I recognized from my studies of the occult. And then we heard a noise. It was coming from inside the building. We cautiously entered the building, and what we found inside was like something out of a nightmare. The room was filled with strange machinery, and there was a man sitting in the center of it all. He was muttering to himself, and I'll have to write later. Getting this in the mail now is more important. Your brother. November 23rd, 1944. Dear brother, I am sorry about the abrupt ending to my last letter. We had to cut our communication short due to an unexpected attack. The creatures seem to have become more organized and strategic in their approach, which makes it all the more frightening. The man we found in the room was clearly unhinged. He was muttering to himself and had drawn strange symbols all over the walls. We tried to talk to him, but he was completely unresponsive. And then we noticed something odd about the machinery around him. There was a faint hum emanating from it, almost like a heartbeat. We were just about to investigate further when we were attacked. The creatures had somehow found us, and they came at us with a fury I've never seen before. They were faster, stronger, and more coordinated than ever. I barely made it out alive, and I still have nightmares about what happened in that room. The man, the machinery, the symbols. It all feels like a part of something much bigger, something that I don't understand. But I know one thing for sure. We're not dealing with something of this world. The creatures seem to have an intelligence and purpose that goes beyond mere survival. They are hunting us, but for what reason, I don't know. I fear that we may never find out. I'll write more when I can. Stay safe, brother. Your brother, Sergeant John Smith. December 22nd, 1944. Dear brother, I'm sorry to say that things have only gotten worse since my last letter. The creatures seem to be everywhere now, lurking in the shadows, waiting to strike. We've tried to come up with a plan, but it's difficult when we don't even know what we're up against. We've seen creatures that look like giant centipedes, others that look like bats with razor-sharp teeth, and even some that seem to be made entirely of shadow. It's like they're adapting to our tactics, learning from us. We've tried using flares to light up the night, but they've started attacking during the day. We've tried using explosives, but they seem to anticipate our moves and dodge out of the way. I don't know how much longer we can hold out. We are running low on supplies, and morale is starting to falter. But we can't give up. We have to keep fighting, no matter the cost. I hope that by the time you receive this letter, I'll have good news to share. But if not, please know that I fought bravely until the end. Your brother, Sergeant John Smith. May 8th, 1945. Dearest Michael, it's over. The war is over, and I'm still here. I can hardly believe it. The creatures have disappeared as suddenly and mysteriously as they appeared. We don't know what happened to them, but we are just glad they're gone. But it's not over for me. The things I've seen, the things I've experienced, they'll haunt me for the rest of my life. I don't know if I'll ever be able to forget the way those creatures looked at me with their glowing eyes, or the sound of their screeches in the night. I don't know what to do now. I don't know how to move on from this. All I know is that I am grateful to be alive, and that I have you to write to. Thank you for being there for me, brother. I hope that someday, I can repay you for all that you've done for me. I should see you within the following month as I return home. Your brother, Sergeant John Smith. I was shocked and fascinated by my brother's accounts. I had always thought that I knew everything there was to know about his experiences during the war, but these letters revealed a whole new side of things, and yet there was something eerie about them too. How had my brother survived these encounters, and where was he? As I read through each letter, I became more and more convinced that there was something deeply unsettling about the creatures that my brother had encountered during the war, and I couldn't shake the feeling that they might still be out there, lurking in the shadows, waiting to abduct unsuspecting victims. Was it possible that the government had created these creatures and then tried to hide their existence? And if so, why? The more I read my brother's letters, the more questions I had. Despite the unnerving content of the letters, I couldn't stop reading them. They were like a window into my brother's mind, revealing parts of him that I had never known before. But they were also a reminder of the horrors that he had faced during the war and of the sacrifices that he had made. As I read the final letter, written on May 8th, 1945, the day of victory in Europe, I couldn't help but feel a sense of pride mixed with sadness. My brother had never made it home, but these letters had given me a glimpse into his world, and they had left me with a haunting sense of what had happened to him during those dark days in London. I hope to one day find out what really happened to my brother after the war.